Hello, everybody. This is Vivian Xavier again with another edition of a filmmaker discussion for Gandhara Independent Film Festival for the 2020 edition. This is our first edition, but we want to talk to filmmakers. We want to have masterclasses and bring that information to filmmakers, not just in Pakistan, but around the globe. So today we'll be talking to Ali Sohail Jaura and Amar Zafar. They have made a film called Dry Leaves, and I'm looking forward to chatting with them and knowing what the scene is for independent filmmaking in Pakistan and about that journey and the way forward. So, hello guys, how are you? How are you guys doing?
Hello,
Hello.
I'm good. I'm good, Brent. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I'm just going to ask you guys to give a little bit about yourselves. I've just given a small intro, but you guys go ahead and talk about your journey from where you guys started and where you guys are now as filmmakers, as independent filmmakers in Pakistan.
Okay, so basically, started my journey with the film school, Ikra University. Did my bachelor's in filmmaking, and then again I started with short films. Uh, Made a lot of short films in school while I was studying bachelor's in filmmaking, and then I continued that same journey after the bachelor's as well. And somehow then I jumped into ad industry. But in ad industry, I also uh, tend to make storytelling ads rather than the mainstream. You can say the
Yeah.
mainstream of direct marketing. I try to push myself for the more indirect approach towards the marketing and brands. So that's how I started my career, but I didn't left making shorts. That's my personal passion. That's something that's very close to my heart always. So then Amar joined me as a writer. He himself can introduce himself. And
I started my career at very early age as a journalist from Consumer News and Business Channel, and then I developed a passion for film. In 2012, I joined Karachi University Department of Visual Studies, where I completed my bachelor's in filmmaking, and then I shifted to more narrative-based stories. And I just like Ali said कि मैं फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में कूद गया और फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में जो है वो अ, फिल्में भी बनाई अली के साथ और फिर यहाँ से जो एक जर्नी हमारी शुरू हुई है हमने फिर एड फिल्म्स भी की हैं शॉर्ट फिल्म्स भी की हैं म्यूज़िक वीडियोस भी की हैं तो शुरुआत मेरी जो है वो प्रोडक्शन साइड से थी और प्रोडक्शन से मैंने अपना करियर जो है वो शिफ्ट किया था फिल्म की तरफ और आहिस्ता आहिस्ता फिर चीज़ें पढ़ता गया और राइटिंग का शौक जो है वो डेवलप हुआ तो फिर मैं लिखने की तरफ फुल फ्लैज आ गया हूँ और अब एज अ स्क्रीन राइटर मैं अपना करियर जो है वो आगे लेके जा रहा हूँ
So, Ali, getting back to your journey, you obviously started at ICRA, and they've been at the forefront of filmmaking schools
Hmm.
for I think one of the first, other
Hmm.
than Zabist and
Hmm.
what was your experience as a student of filmmaking, and when did you decide to you know to not go into the fields that all Asian parents want you to go into, and then choose a career in arts?
Okay, so
And it's
it
the
was.
same for you, Amar, because obviously journalism is one thing.
Uh,
It's a career, and Asian parents will still say, okay, they'll relent and say, okay, you can go towards that side. But the switch, when did you guys decide? Okay, this was it for us.
so basically, the experience was actually mixed. There are some things which actually pushed you towards a goal. Uh, One of them is, uh, you know, the people say about this field कि यहाँ तो बस वो लोग जाते हैं जो शायद जिनका कोई गोल नहीं होता या जो पढ़ाई में लाइक वीक होते हैं बिलो एवरेज स्टूडेंट्स बट एक्चुअली माय एक्चुअली थिंकिंग वाज कि यार I wanted to do something very different in terms of artistic. I want to express my emotions through art, through screen, or you can say through stories, which I believe I want to create. The first time I saw the film in cinema, it was Spy Kids 3D. Uh, I think back in 2000.
Four.
Very, yeah, it's so like 14 years ago, I guess, 14 or
Yes.
15 years ago. That was the moment when I asked myself a question: ke, whether I want to make something, for the big screen, or I really want to do whatever my parents want me to do. So that was a moment when I started digging this question more and more, day after day. And then I have finally eventually got to know this. There's some kind of degree happening in Pakistan. Filmmaking is a study as well in our country. So that actually really helped me to explore more things. And then I discussed with my father. So basically he's in my support. He was in my support from the day one, but he didn't know that I wanted to go in filmmaking. He thought that I would be in some artistic field like architecture, fine arts, or you can say a textile designing or whatever. But filmmaking is not that that is something which comes first in my mind, or
Hmm.
him. So I discussed with him, and then he said, "Kya, if you wanted to do, then let's go with it. But remember one thing: don't be a mediocre.
Yes.
Just try to go with your full energy and give your best in whatever you want to do. But don't be a mediocre. कुछ भी काम करना तो फिर उसको एक ऐसे अच्छे स्केल पर करो, so that you can inspire more people to do this thing." So that's the moment when I decided to go. But Ikra was again not in my mind. I didn't think more of a film school. I wanted to learn, but not particularly कि यार मुझे film school से ही करना है. But then I realized कि यार there's a process behind this, कि आपको कहीं ना कहीं से यहाँ तो आपको you need to work with some experienced people, assisting them, and then get into the field work, 2 3 years spent with them, and then you can start your own thing. So there's 2 3 options जो मेरे सामने थे, but I chose to study it properly and to opt this degree as a profession. So I rather than going with a indirect approach of assisting someone, I chose this educational way to learn things properly and theoretically, and you can say uh, from the different filmmaking aspects of the world. So that's how I started my career, and it was very mixed, kind of very ups and downs. Sometimes you feel that you chose something wrong, that you shouldn't, but sometimes then when you create something that satisfied your heart, then you can say, okay, I think I'm going on the right path. So
And
that's how it was.
was that realization for you when you made your first short film, Prohibited?
Yeah. So okay, so for Prohibited was experimental film for me actually, because at that time there were not many students who thought of that genre. Horror comedy, it's a very comedy satire horror, the 2 3 mixed genres. So basically we portrayed that drunk driving and the behavior of police with people were in a very symbolic way. So that is something which the students don't think much of that at that time in 2015. So when I shared this idea with my teacher and he said, "Yaar, kuch aur dekh lo, try to come up with more realistic story." I said, "No, I want to make very experimental film. I don't want to go with the mainstream, real life kahaniyan or negativity or something like that. I want to do something first experimental. Let's see, then I will see where it goes." So then I made that film, and but nobody believed me, believed in that film, and somehow it got 6 international awards, 3 in India and 3 in all over the world, in LA and Chicago and France. So there's 6 international awards. Or there's a journey, that I got what I wanted. So it really helped me. It actually motivates me that you have to be experimental and risk taking in the world of filmmaking. So that's how it started.
I'm sure the whole the whole push you got from film festivals and the being able
Yes.
to get into them and being able to show your movies abroad is something that must have been very supportive for you as a filmmaker.
So when I've explored the filmmaking circuit in my life, uh, it really catches me. It's very fascinating to show your film around the world with different audiences, different cultures, different eyes, different perspectives. Uh, it's very motivating, very exhilarating that your film is going to play among very different kind of minds, very different kind of school of thoughts, you can say, or different kind of religions and mindsets. So that really that it's still it's in me, that I want, that I keep making short films, that always wanted to make something inspire that can inspire the world. I wanted to tell the stories of Pakistan that never shown before to different people of the world. So ये चीज़ एक ऐसी जो रहेगी, मुझे लगता है it's still in me, and I don't think it's gonna wipe off anytime soon.
So, and Amar, for you, what was the tipping point or the change for you from journalism to narrative filmmaking, or to decide to go to KU? Which, by the way, is still, in terms of the stories that are coming out of KU and the KU students, I've seen quite a few, and I'm always amazed and intrigued that with such little resources, they're able to tell such good stories, which at the end of the day is the most important thing.
अच्छा, मेरे लिए जो पॉइंट ऑफ रियलाइजेशन था बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है सवाल ऐसे है.
Sorry, Amar, if we could just keep the conversation in English, because the
Oh,
the audience is primarily global as well. So just so that they can understand as well.
in 2011, I left CNBC Pakistan and I went to UAE for a job, for a freelance job. There, I met Naila Al Khaja. She's a Emirati based filmmaker. She
Yes.
basically encouraged me to pursue filmmaking, and not just filmmaking, but she also encouraged me to continue my education in filmmaking. And why she pushed me to pursue education? Because I told her that I was rejected at Karachi University and I no longer want to pursue education. I just want to learn on field. And she said, no, you have to pursue education and you have to try again if you want to excel at what you do or what you want to do. So I came back to Pakistan and applied at Karachi University again. And luckily, I got the admission. From then on, I spent 4 years in Karachi University and learned a lot of different things. I made films in narrative film fiction. I made documentaries for different international platforms, which won several awards and also got published on various international news platform. And that's how I realized that I should pursue my career not in journalism but in storytelling, because I'm very much interested in telling stories in a fictional and in a mm, how can you say, in a very जैसे कहते हैं कि फिक्शनलाइज वे में जो है ना वो कहानी को बताना मैं ज़्यादा पसंद करता हूँ, ना कि बिल्कुल एज इट इज़ डॉक्यूमेंट कर देना न्यूज़ की तरह, जस्ट लाइक न्यूज़. आई डोंट वांट टू बी वेरी न्यूज़ लाइक स्टोरी टेलर. आई वांट टू बी वेरी fictional storyteller. So that's how it was a point of realization for me.
Okay. And so, how did you and Ali meet, and what was the kernel of the idea, or the birth of the idea for Dry Leaves? Because that was a very interesting film, and I'll talk more about it, from a cinematography point of view, and also with the relationship with Dheeraj. Dheeraj is a producer. If people don't know, he's a producer from India,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is a Pakistani film with Pakistani filmmakers. So it's really interesting to see that collaboration as well. But I'll let you get started, Amar, and talk about that.
Uh, I never met Ali before 2015. and we were only friends on Facebook.
Mm.
And Ali used to see my post, because you know what I do, I write short reviews of films on my
Mm.
social media.
Mm.
So Ali used to comment on those posts, and Ali used to share his opinion on what he think about the films I've written a review about. Then in 2015 I was attending a film screening at Karachi University, and Ali was there also. So that is the first time we meet, and he said, "अमार यार कुछ मिलके करते हैं, कुछ बड़ा interesting सा बनाने का mood है." So first thing we did a film, a Thai film, I think. I'm Here.
Mm,
That was
yes.
the first project we did. It was a Thai film, I'm Here.
Mm.
It was shot in Thailand,
Yeah.
and that was our first collaboration. And it was a very good success. And after that, we realized that we should make more films. Uh, After a year or year and a half, Ali shared this basic.
Because I was searching for a writer for a very long time. Because the content is something that really concerns me more than everything. Apart from the frames and art direction, production, this is something that comes secondary. When you
Mm.
make a film, you know what to make. You have to clear in mind that what you are making, uh, what is your outcome, and for whom you're going to make. So that is something that should be very clear for a filmmaker, especially.
So Ali shared this big idea for Dry Leaves with me. There's a very good friend of ours. His name is Bilal
Yes.
Imran.
Yeah.
He is basically the one who's conceived this idea of Dry Leaves.
Yeah, the story is from
Yeah, the
Bilal.
story is from Bilal. So he shared this idea, and Ali said that we need something more interesting, and we need more hooks in this narrative, so that it appeals to the international audience.
Also, less exposition, you can say.
Yes.
Mm.
So
I wanted a film with a very calm and soothing experience. Not, I don't wanted to convey the story with dialogues. I wanted to
Okay.
convey it with the experience of the characters itself.
yes. So we had a reading session first. There was a first draft written by Bilal himself,
Yeah, yeah.
and we had a reading session, and then I pointed out a few things that we can improve, and then there was a rewrite, the complete rewrite for the draft, and that's about it. इसके बाद जो film जो है उसकी एक look बिल्कुल different निकल के आ गई. It was a very different film than the first draft, than the original draft Bilal has created. Then we move on to the production, and it was very interesting and a very excellent learning experience.
So he basically knitted the characters in a very, indirect approach. He connected both the protagonist uh, with more of their actions rather than the dialogues.
Mm.
That's all I wanted from.
One more interesting thing is that when we rewritten the first draft, second draft, then we move on to the production side, and then we search some locations and some actual cases of old houses in Karachi, and those interactions and those interviews also inspired us to did some major rewrites in the screenplay. क्योंकि उनसे मिलने के बाद हमें जो है वो अंदाजा हुआ कि we can change the screenplay further to improve the story. So that was a unique learning experience.
And
for us.
there are also a couple of real story involved in the screenplay in a
Yes.
very subtle way. In a very subtle way.
Mhm. So for the people who are watching this, you won't know, but Dry Leaves is it is a look at the old age homes and how the older generation is left on the wayside, and the trauma that they have to experience. Because they come to a realization that this is their new place and this is their new home. And it's done very subtly by Ali Sohail and his team. And very soon you guys will be able to watch it as well. So yeah, getting back to you guys, I'm interested to know that you made this movie. It looks very professional. But that obviously comes at a cost. So would you mind sharing like how much what was the budget, and how, as an independent filmmaker, you go about securing those funds? Is there
Hmm.
any support for independent filmmakers like you in Pakistan to secure those funds, or how do you go about it?
Okay, so the answer is very simple, I guess. There is no, basically, there, unfortunately, there is no support for a young filmmaker and independent filmmaker, especially to make such kind of films. If you wanted to make something, even if you wanted to make something in short films or short format, there has to be brand involved, or if you or you can not make such stories like we have made before or in this film as well. The story is very different. It has very, a very darker approach uh, that you not regularly see in short films. So people need to understand that the films should not be judged by their, the look and feel. If the story has some arc or hooks in it, then it is a good story. There not have to be colorful things, or brangs and tricks, and some kind of gimmickry with the camera and everything, or the big setups or the sets. uh, the films can be made with good actors, with very less dialogues, and single setups. So that's all I wanted to make and wanted to show through my film. So basically, that's uh, the budget is basically from our pocket, all the budget, and whatever we made from the commercials, uh, from our professional projects. We always take out a percentage or a chunk of that funds, to save certain to save we save certain amounts from all our projects to make something for ourselves, which is our personal projects. So that's how we spare the budgets for the films that I wanted to make. uh, Otherwise there's no such kind of help, no such kind of support, unfortunately. And then when you made the film, then people come to you and say you can sell here, you can sell there, you can distribute the film from that channel and that channel. But I always wanted to make films that should go to festivals, or you can say the people who deserve to see that films,
To
and
start the
festivals.
project, there is no funding available.
Yeah, to start the project, no, there's no
There is no
funding.
funding available.
But but whenever you completed the film, then obviously people will see the impact of that film, and then they realize, okay, that it's a good film, it can work, or it can be sold to some, like some platform or some channel or whatever. But again, my first preference is always festival, because I love festivals. There's nothing good showcase than festivals anywhere in the world. And festivals are meant to give the exposure to filmmakers
The
that they
filmmakers,
deserve.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So, have you had any luck with monetizing from putting your films on any platform? I think that you're talking about OTT platforms for the most part,
okay.
right? Or have
Mhm.
you been able to get them onto any TV channels?
Okay, so recently, one of our earlier film that I produced and Bilal Imran directed, uh, that was his thesis actually. Bas ek pyali chai, just a cup
Hmm.
of tea. It was featured on Amazon Prime. So basically, uh, I think he made the deal with the Alchemia channel, Alchemia distributor, and then I think they brought the film from us, and they put it on Amazon Prime, and it's doing good. It's doing well. Or before that, I distributed my film to iFlix, iflix.com. So the Nanu Aur Main, grandpa and I. So
Okay.
that was also that was also a good run for our film. But after, other than that, I don't think there's much of help on OTT. Or either you get the work. I think basically the short film for me, the short films are more of a reward. Even if they don't reward you in financially, they can reward you as in terms of work or in terms of good projects. You can prove yourself as a storyteller to the world. If you make a film of 10 to 15 minutes or 20 minutes, then there are people who can trust you as a filmmaker, as a big length director, you can say. You get to have a grip on emotions, the characters, and story arc, how to take story from A to B and C. So I think it's more of a practice for a
Just to
feature.
get better at
For
get better at your craft.
so shorts are more of a reward for me, rather than
Okay.
money and funds. And it actually rewarded me. My short film really rewarded me in terms of work. I got a lot of work, I got a recognition, and I got a name from my short films. People get to know me of industry, and they also trusted me as whenever I pitch something storytelling, whenever I pitch some storytelling idea, or a historical ad. They really trusted me in terms of the production and direction, because I have
And
already proven.
when you say that that you go and you pitch, this is for branded content and
Yeah, exactly.
ads that will air on TV and the digital platforms as well. Sorry, I think we're having a bit of a technical difficulty on Sohail's side. But what he was mentioning is uh, the enrichment that he gets from short films. And the reason why short films are also important for him is that it's showcased his talent as a storyteller, which has allowed him to embark on a career in TV advertising. But he still keeps his uh, his ability to tell stories, his forte to tell stories at the forefront, and he utilizes that skills to sell products for different brands. Um, um, I think we've lost Ali and Amar because of some technical difficulties on his end. I hope that we can get in touch with him soon. Uh, but again, talking to Ali, it's important to note that a filmmaker is able to take his craft forward, and he's able to reach the wider world because of film festivals. He's actually one of the few successful filmmakers from Pakistan who's been able to show his films around the world in different film festivals, and that has not only gotten him fame and recognition, uh, but it has given him a revenue stream as well. It looks like Ali and Amara back, so I'm going to add them back to the conversation. Hey guys,
Okay,
glad you're
so
back.
yes, yeah, I got disconnected. Okay, so where were
It's
we?
fine. Well, you were talking about how short films have given you fame and uh, allowed you to explore a
Yeah,
career
also
in
gain trust in the
commercial and
industry.
brands.
They also allowed me to gain the trust of clients and the people of industry, the seniors of industry. So basically, uh, I think in our industry, because it is very small industry, it is not a very big industry in Pakistan. So there are few people who looking for good people who can pull off content easily, and who have the good grip of content or storytelling, because we have a very less good filmmakers in our country, unfortunately, sorry to say. uh, so if you are a good in your craft, uh, If you know your craft, if you have proven yourself with your own projects, where, where you put your heart and soul and everything, I think there's a way for you. Uh, because everyone has their own way of journey. It is my way. I think it is what this is what I think, and this is what rewarded me as a filmmaker from this journey that I paved myself. Uh, you need something to gain trust of people, and for that something is that's something that you should create from your own self.
In
No one
Pakistan,
is going to help you in creating that thing. You cannot excuse this, that I don't have resources and that and this. So you won't believe me. I even did the wedding photography or videography, and from that money I make my short films. So
It's
everyone
it's,
has the.
it's everything about telling stories for you, I guess. Sorry, Amar, you were saying something?
yes, in Pakistani film industry, unfortunately, people start from commercials, and then they after making a certain portfolio or after doing a certain brand films, they move on to making commercial films or narrative films. But for us, it has been a different approach. We started with narrative films, short films,
Hmm.
and then when we realized that now we have a certain and we have a good grip on narrative storytelling, then we move on to the commercial filmmaking and ad filmmaking. And even today we are making ad films that are story and narrative based and not the conventional approach
Which has the
that is usually adopted in
inside
our commercial film industry.
Yes, I
because
actually I saw
we
one
saw the
yesterday,
vacuum. Hmm.
and that's been getting some really good response.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the newest one that you guys have put out.
Yes, exactly. This is the newest one. So basically, we saw that vacuum of stories and ads. We realized that has to be filled with something. That has to be filled with some good content, with some good quality content. Uh, I also, other than apart from content, I also uh, approached good actors, not good faces, in my films and even in commercials.
Yes,
My
that's
first
a conversation I'm going to come to. That's a conversation I'm going to come to.
sure,
But before we move on, you mentioned that you're you've actually even done wedding videography and photography just to support your filmmaking passion. I'd like to add that Kelly Reichardt, who's a very famous independent filmmaker from the US, she's even testified to saying that she's directed a one season of reality TV just so that she can have money to fund her own independent feature film in the US. So it's not an uncommon thing, but
yeah,
it does point to your
exactly.
passion for telling stories and telling good stories. So that's very heartening for filmmakers all around the world, but especially filmmakers in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to start talking about Dheeraj and your connection to him because, like I said earlier as well, Dheeraj is an Indian filmmaker. He
Yes.
produced Dry Leaves. So I want to see how you guys sort of came to know each other. How did the partnership develop, and was it easy to work with someone? Because obviously he's in another country. So how does that work?
Okay, so
Because
it's a very different, it's a very interesting part of Dry Leaves as well. So basically, I made the film myself with my own pocket, Dry Leaves. So basically, I produced the whole film already. Uh, Dheeraj is my friend from last 2 years, and we were in a very good terms on relationships with exchange of work and thoughts
Mhm.
on Facebook and social media. So I watched his short film, The School Bag, if you remember, or I don't know if you have seen it.
I have not
He
seen that. I've seen two other ones, but not that one.
Okay, the school bag is brilliant film, short film. It was made on APS event, the
Okay.
school, the APS, yeah, the martyred of the APS school kids. So basically, he made that film, and it really inspired me. And the more inspiring was thing that one Indian guy made a film on Pakistan event, and it's very beautifully made. So it really inspired me, and then I came to know him. I talked to him. It's a very decent guy, very talented, and a very humble personality. So we eventually became a good friends, and then I regularly shared my work with him just to get his thoughts or feedback. Uh, when I made the dry leaves, in a very casual way, I shared with him after when I finished the film before sending it to festivals. I shared with him, and then after 2 3 days, he came back to me and said, "Yeah, your film, your film couldn't. I couldn't get out of your film from my mind." So, and it was very, it was very happy for a moment for me. And I said, "Okay, so what are you thinking now?" He said, "Yeah, I really want to buy your film." I said, "Yeah, actually, I think it's a very personal thing for me. I didn't made to, sell this thing, or even if someone is offering me a good price or something, I would never wanted to sell this thing." So he said, "Yeah, then how can I be on board with you guys? Because this film really touched my heart, and I really want to be a part of this film. And also, we can take the journey to festivals with this message that India and Pakistan can collaborate through art, even in these circumstances. The between the
The political
the
level.
political
Yeah.
differences between both the countries, you can still collaborate on art, because art is something which is unified among
Hmm. Yeah, it
all.
basically transcends borders and
Exactly.
political
So
rivalries.
that's what his vision with this with that film. Then we took some agreement, and we collaborated with the film, and he is the one who sent this to festivals, even to
Yes.
Gandhara. He distributed the film to all the festivals. We are still in a festival run, and we are looking for a very good 2 3 big Oscar qualifying festivals this year, inshallah, because the pandemic has shut down many festivals. That's very disheartening for a filmmaker, but I'm very hopeful that in future we will be having a very good premieres in the world, in a very good festivals.
So,
So that's how I came on board
you know,
again through art, through work. No, there's no, I think there's no comparison of art. You know, there's no comparison of art. There's no comparison of merit. There's no comparison of hard work. The film touched him. That's why he came on board. Otherwise, we have a good friend. We are good friends. We will be good friends. I already made 2 3 films that I showed to him, but that doesn't inspire him much. But that this particular film inspired him, and he said, "Okay, I want to be part of this film," because it made very, you know, uh, with heart,
it
and
made,
very
yeah,
very
it made an
very.
impact on him for sure.
And it's a very unique approach.
So, do you think it's difficult, or has it been difficult to work with him? I mean, I know that right now, once the film is already made, there's not, most of the work can be done online
Yeah. So
as
I
is done. But what has your working relationship been with him?
so I can't
Can you just
really
shed light on that?
yeah, I can't really I can't really comment on that part, because that part was actually missed from the journey. He came afterwards when the film completed, and surprisingly he didn't ask me to edit, or made a different cut, or amend something, or subtract something. He accepted the film as it is. He believed in the film as it is, as I do, as much as I do. He believed the film as much as I do. So uh, I missed that part actually. I don't know what would be like if he was on he if he would on board before the film
Earlier, yeah.
was in production. Maybe that was something different from him. Maybe he was of different with a different approach with me. So he's not really you can say he's not really critique the in a way after the film was made already. He said basically, you have gone through this difficult time, the crux of the film, and you have already gone through too much, so I don't want to amend something or change something and then tear apart this and this and this. So he said, let's go with this. And he really believed see, he basically put his all faith on the film. And then he, of course, he put the money on distribution. All the money is from the distribution is currently is from him. He distributed the film to all the festivals, so he's the one who's doing it right now for us.
Well, hopefully in the future you guys will actually get to work on something from development all the way to post production.
Yeah.
Uh, but something else I wanted to talk about, because you had mentioned it earlier, talking about getting good actors rather than just beautiful
Mm.
faces. So
Mm.
in Dry Leaves as well, you've got Durdana Bhatt, and you've got Samina Ahmed, and then in your previous film you have Kavi Khan.
Yes.
uh, you know, for the global audience who will be watching this, these three actors are absolute legends in Pakistan because of their grasp of the craft, because of their experience. They're absolute legends. So, A, how did you manage to get these two amazing actresses on board? And then, as a rather new director in the field or new filmmaker in the field, how did you go about giving them direction? Because obviously, as someone who's less experienced than they are, did you shy away from it? How did you approach that?
Okay. Um, I forgot to tell you, in our first film, Bas Ek Pyali Chai, we had Kavi Kazi Wajid Saab, late Kazi Wajid Saab. He was also the legend of our country. Brilliant, fantastic, fantabulous actor. And Rashid Faruqi. So both were very fantastic. So we
Hmm.
luckily, we were very lucky to have such legends in our short films in a very early stage of my life, in a very early career. So basically, I think I realized that we are very shy to approach people. So the basic issue is with young filmmakers, they're very shy. They don't think, I don't know why they don't think bigger, or with a big approach. Even if you are making a short film for a university, your approach should be good or big. Then you can settle on something middle way. But if you start thinking with a very low, uh, you can say with a low approach, or then you will end up below that. The much bigger your expectations will, then the much will you will go further. So I always wanted to do films with these legends. uh, uh, Even if Amar was writing the script and Bilal was writing the script, uh, I already logged these actors in my mind. And I also told them that I'm definitely gonna log them and definitely gonna convince them, however it is, but they will be good doing this role. So I straight away took my story to them. I read the story in front of them, and they liked it. Surprisingly, they were very supportive. All the actors, all the legendary actors, Durdana Bhatt, Samin Ahmed, they were so supportive. They loved our stories. They were very willing to do the films, because that is something very important for an actor. To be interested in your film. Otherwise, it misses his soul. If the actor is not interested, then the soul will be missing in your film. So actor have to be very interested in your film as much as you do. So I think that the only reason we easily get to convince them is because of the story and the craft that we have created. That
And that is something very important. Young filmmakers believe that big and good actors will not come on board on their
Hmm,
projects,
hmm,
but
hmm.
that is not true. If you have a good story, if you have a good narrative,
They
if you
won't
have a
even
good
ask you for the money as well.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
if you have a good story, if you have a good narrative, they will come on board.
Yes,
And
yes.
So,
something that we learned on this project is that even the legends of Pakistan, they are very willing to work with young filmmakers.
Yes.
But the only thing they ask for is a good story and a good concept and a good narrative.
And
And
discipline.
so the
and
and discipline from the, yes, that's very
Yes,
true.
that's very.
Uh, Does if Amar, if Sohail, has already locked in his mind that he wants to work with certain actors, does that affect, or did that affect your writing process?
In what sense?
Were you influenced in writing a certain way to suit that actor?
No.
Because we've seen these actors since we were kids, and we know what their strengths are.
uh, it depends, but that has never been our method. We
Hmm.
first craft the character for our story, and we first craft the narrative, and then we decide who to cast for that particular character. Luckily, the characters that we crafted, Samina Ahmed and Durdana Bhatt, fit perfectly for those characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is something कि इत्तेफाकन वो चीज़ हो गई. But हम पहले first we craft the characters and first we craft the narrative. Our focus is on, as a writer, my focus is on the narrative and the character and the story that they propagate, that they
Yeah,
focus.
he never
Yeah.
got influenced with the
No.
characters and actors. That's a very good thing, I think. He always focused on the character, because whenever we sat on the script, and we had a debate on things and dialogues.
We never really
we
discussed
always
actors.
talk about we always talk about the characters in the film, not
Yes,
the
not
actors
the actors. Yes.
that we wanted to cast. uh, the good actors are obviously our requirement, because the dialogues and the deliveries that we wanted from the actors, from our characters, it has to come from a very experienced person. So that is one thing that in our mind, something in backward, that we need a good character, that we need a really good actors, but not particularly that Durdana Bhatt and Samin Ahmed. So the reason I chose Kavi Khan, Durdana Bhatt, Samina, unfortunately we don't have such organization, or theater, or any institution that produces that characters of that age. So it has to be our legends, who have worked in the past, who can you can trust blindly.
And
Unfortunately,
what about
we
younger
don't have
actors?
good actors of such age in our industry.
So, what about the younger actors? Do you think there's a stream of good actors coming out now? Do you think they could be able to tackle the stories that you guys want to tell?
Yes, I think yes, yes. Fortunately, our we have one institute, NAPA, National Academy of Performing Arts in Karachi. Uh, it is producing from quite a good time very good actors, but theater actors, not screen actors, and then they turn themselves into screen actors. But still, I would prefer theater actor rather than drama actors, because theater is something which which trained you as an actor of of a whole. You can control your whole body, even if you're a small gestures, and subtle expressions and everything. So theater is something which trained you in, and as a whole package. So I would definitely prefer theater actor rather than a TV actor.
And theater actors are also very flexible, because yeah, it is very easy
Diverse,
to try.
yes.
Yeah, they
They
are
are very
very diverse.
diverse.
They are very flexible. It is very easy to transform them for screen.
Hmm, hmm.
So,
You know,
coming back to the legends that you worked with, um, yes, I know you said that they're very open to working with even younger filmmakers as long as the story is good. But for you, being on set and giving them directions, did you? How was that experience for you? Did you hold back a little bit? Were you able to be completely open and make any suggestion? And how was that? As someone with less experience working with someone with more experience, I'm sure that'll be a learning curve for a lot of the independent
that,
filmmakers listening to
that,
this.
that's a very good question, I think, and very important one. Uh, so basically, when I met them personally, I already knew that, because they already accepted your craft, your story, your vision, your direction, of course. So then you came to know that this guy is going to follow my directions, he or she definitely going to be a director's actor on the set as well. So they asked me a very good, very important question about the characters on the day we met on the rehearsals and reading sessions, about the characters and everything. So it also reflects it also reflects their interest towards the film, which makes you basically comfortable before the shoot. So then on the shoot day, we were just like casually the way I direct the other actors who are not, that experienced, and they were just like normal actors. Like they don't behave like big stars, and
Mm.
surprisingly, they're very humble than stars. Surprisingly, they don't think they never behaved like they know everything and we don't know anything. They equally collaborated. Yeah, they do give suggestions. They did suggested me on few things, and but then they said that's your call. You're the director. It's your film, and whatever you say, we will do. So it's kind of very surprising and very overwhelming because that's they have worked on projects when I'm not even born.
Yeah,
So
exactly. There, I mean,
yeah,
and what I'd like to also add is that the projects that they worked on, I think it might have been something that they, that one of the reasons they might have been open to working on your projects, I think, is because it takes them back to the earlier stages when, in their career,
exactly.
when, especially with PTV and the Pakistan television
Yes.
network, where the stories coming out of them, out of that TV channel, were absolutely phenomenal.
So they
And I
mentioned, yeah.
think
So they,
that I think your story sort of matches
Mhm.
that sensibility to a huge extent.
Yes,
So I think
definitely.
maybe that's also one reason why they probably agreed.
They even mentioned this when I met Miss Durdana, but she even mentioned this thing that when I was working in the PTV, so there was a process of reading, rehearsals, a CR. You reminded me of that process.
Hmm.
You
Well, that's
remind,
certainly a huge compliment for you.
yeah. So basically, I think that nowadays we are very, we are more concerns of towards the visuals and commercialism. We are not very concerned about the acting, storytelling. We are very uh, I think we are moving very fast towards commercial cinema or commercial content, and neglected all the details, tiny details that has to be part of your story. uh, so this is something I think they also missed uh, in recent days, and then when they come to work with us, they also remember and mention this thing that your process is just like our old schooling and our old days of uh, productions. So I think, yeah,
So,
that's a huge compliment.
Ali, you mentioned about how we're sort of propelling towards more of a commercial cinema.
Hmm.
I mean, I personally think we're already there, where commercial cinema has already taken a huge stronghold in Pakistani cinemas.
Hmm.
Have there been any movies recently, or in the past few years, where you felt that things might change, for Pakistani cinema, in terms of quality storytelling? Or if not, then what do you think is important? I mean, I know you think quality storytelling is missing, but what's the formula to possibly find that magic?
I think that there's no there's no kind of there's no need of magic in there. You need a good craft. You need to believe your stories. We are very feared people. We are very frightened people that we are actually fear to produce something that we don't know what gonna do. We are very afraid of our outcomes. As I told you before, that when I made my film Prohibited, it was it was all in. It was my all in. I Whatever I spared, whatever I saved, I put it all, and then it comes out very really well, even if the whole class, my teacher, don't believe in the didn't believe in this film, but still it gave me something. So we have to go with this approach. I think there's no need of magic or something, magic stick, or you can there's always a craft that will help you. You have to have a good grip, you have to have a good team, good people on your floor. We should avoid people who are just be there with the एक शौक की तरह. It's not a, filmmaking is not एक शौक है. Filmmaking is a passion. It's a sickness. You need people who are sick for your projects, जो उतना ही आपको टाइम देंगे जितना वो अपनी रियल लाइफ में देते हैं.
No.
You have to believe your own stories. I think अगर आप ट्राई करेंगे तो ही कुछ होगा. If you don't try, then it will always be like this.
Because stories are there, stories तो
Stories are
मौजूद
there.
हैं, stories
And
तो मौजूद हैं.
I will never believe कि एक अच्छी स्टोरी कामयाब नहीं हो सकती. Even if I made a commercial, if you just said recently that our new ad, Jaza Foods, it went viral. People are loving it.
Mm.
People are praising it. They're watching it, sharing it with their families, and I received dozens of calls and messages. So can you imagine the 90 seconds films, the 90-second ad film put an impact on people like this? I can't believe कि अगर एक फीचर फिल्म अच्छी बने और वो लोगों पे इम्पैक्ट ना करे. How can is this possible?
And there have been good feature films in
So
Pakistan. There have
it
been
means
good.
that we are scared of doing such content. Otherwise, people are ready to watch these things, and they are appreciating good things on internet everywhere. You need to know the craft of bringing people to cinema. You have to study there, uh, how you can bring people to cinema for the good thing, to watch them, to train them as a good viewer. I think we need to train our audience. That's it.
To
But
watch more
but
content
we are
and
going opposite. We are going opposite. We are not training them. So we are actually,
Giving them what they've been seeing for decades.
yeah. So we are actually, degrading our content just to
and
please them, rather
so
than
it's interesting that you spoke about the 90-second duration as opposed to say your short films or the feature films. You've worked in both. What's the biggest difference in telling that story in 90 seconds and telling that story in 10 minutes or
I think
90
that,
minutes?
yeah, I
It
think
all depends on the narrative.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
If a
but what's
narrative,
the biggest difference you've seen, working on both sides? Because
the
obviously you have to take that story and condense it into 90 seconds, and then you have to, or 10 minutes in, the case of
On
many of your
90
short films,
the biggest
or 90
difference,
minutes in feature.
yeah, the biggest difference I think is the you know idea. If an idea demands 30 seconds, then we can, if we make a film on that idea of duration 10 minutes, it will not work, because it will dilute and it will be a drag for the viewers. But if an idea demands 120 minutes, then you can condense it into 30 second, or it will look like we are rushing the narrative. बहुत तेज तेज चीजें आगे जा रही होंगी.
I think
So
your
it all
idea
depends.
tells you the
Yeah,
duration. Your idea itself tells you the
idea
duration.
directs you how long it should be.
Okay.
Yeah, you cannot stretch any idea into 90 minutes or 10 minutes. You cannot, not every idea is for a longer format, and not every idea is for shorter format.
So then
So,
when you're approaching any different medium, whether it's say ad or short films or features, you have to wear that hat to basically understand and approach it with a certain idea. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
yes.
because
And
a while ago we were working on a web series,
Hmm.
and there was this episode we thought would no longer be 40 minutes.
Hmm.
But then when we started writing the plot, and when we started working on the screenplay, it turns out that it cannot be shortened to 40 minutes, because the first draft screenplay was 122 pages. एंड वी रियलाइज्ड कि ये तो 2 घंटे की फिल्म हो गई भाई, ये 40 मिनट तो नहीं हो सकता. तो that was a moment of learning for us, that the idea tells you uh, the duration, and initially you think that it's going to be this long or that long, but when you start making the idea, when you start writing your screenplay, it tells you how long it should be on screen and how long it should be on paper.
Mm.
And is this web series that you're talking about? Is this the next offering from you, or are you looking
Yeah,
towards making a
it's
feature film?
It's
it's a
something very,
confidential
it's something that's
uh,
confidential right now.
confidential, but yeah, we are working on something. It's very different. I hope it works. I hope it brings some changes to our industry as well. Uh,
And obviously, if it's a web series, you're going to be looking to OTT platforms. Do you think that's opened up the markets for filmmakers like you, or do you have any support within
so basically,
Pakistan, or are you looking abroad for that
I
sort
can
of?
just I can just tell you that there's an international platform that approaches us for this idea. We pitched to two, three of them, and the one replied us with a very good response. And now we are working on with them. So let's see if the situation of pandemic, you know, uh, gets better. We will definitely going to on be on floor by next year, inshallah. Hopefully.
Well, I wish you good luck for that. But coming back to the avenues of distribution, do you think that it's been difficult for you as a storyteller because there are less avenues in Pakistan to exhibit your movies?
Yes, yes. As I mentioned before, that unfortunately we don't have such platforms or support systems or any organization or institute that support shorter format, especially. Uh, even if you talk about feature, I don't think there's much of a help in feature as well. Uh, they will able they will if they will accept your application as a feature filmmaker, or if they agree with your story or something, they will definitely going to change the narrative and everything uh, according to their audience and commercial cinema requirements. But there's no as such support, unfortunately.
Especially if your idea is more indie sort
Yeah,
of
yeah,
narrative. If you're working on a more indie sort of narrative, then there is unfortunately no support for that kind of
uh,
cinema in Pakistan right now.
any kind of grants or so it's very
So,
difficult to
so
struggle.
you're either looking to your own savings or you're looking at film funds
I
from
think own
abroad.
saving is much safer option. You have to work in a commercial field again to achieve your own goals. You have to take
But
help
then
from.
with for the web series, obviously that's not going to be. I know it's a confidential thing,
Yeah,
but
it's not going to be
as
commercial
a
kind of thing,
what's
but
that?
yeah,
Sorry.
it's not going to be as such commercial stuff.
No, no, no.
Uh,
But in terms of obviously, because a lot of the independent filmmakers, especially from Pakistan, they don't have a map of sorts,
mm,
about funding or where,
mm,
and that's generally where they sort of step back and say, okay, let's just scale down the idea because we don't know how to get it made. Either they
mm,
don't have the actual monetary resources or they don't have the in-kind resources, because even with dry leaves uh, you have a cinematographer on there and a AD on there that have worked in the wider sort of ad commercial space as well. So you're able to get these resources on board where everything goes according to what you would have liked, as a director, because then you
mm,
can just focus on the story and you can just focus on the actors.
mm, mm, mm.
So that's why I just wanted to touch upon that. Like, if you're, as an independent filmmaker, then you're obviously looking, especially for that, you're looking for funding from other resources other than savings, because that's not going to cover everything, is it?
Mm,
Because
mm, mm,
that's still a bigger proposition than your short films that you made so far.
mm, mm. So basically, again, as I think there's a lot of ways to start with, but the way I chose is self-funded. So I started my first film with self-funding, and then
Mm.
eventually I get to know, I got reward as a work. The work I received from the films, again, I made money from them, saving a few chunks. Again, made another film, work from them, saving few chunks. So the circle goes on. The in I think 2 3 years back, I made a tourism film called Arze Pakistan. It
Arze
won 15.
Pakistan. Yes.
Yeah, and it won uh, again half an hour back on PTV 10 lakhs,
Okay.
and from that money we made dry leaves. So you always have a choice, from that money we can go for a party as well. But then we decided that, okay, let's make another thing, because it's a bonus money. Maybe that money can use it in a very good way, and we can, you know keep the circle on, of rolling your money in a artistic project, in a commercial project, or that. So that's that. I think it's everyone has its own way. So that's my way of growing myself, and as an indie filmmaker, as a short filmmaker. Again, we are making another film, so we are also working on the script and everything.
And
Inshallah,
that's a short film, or is that a feature?
yeah. Again, so that's one promise I made with myself, that I will keep on doing short films until I get my hands on feature.
And
Every year.
are you looking to make a feature in the near future, or is that something you've kept
Yeah,
aside
hopefully.
for
I think,
a
yeah,
while?
maybe I think in a year or couple, we are already working on a script that we love to do. Or we are just looking for a good, for good people who can trust this that story and that subject that we want to make in a feature. But let's see. Tab tak we are up for short films, and still, going for the struggle to prove ourselves as a
And
filmmaker.
speaking of subjects, is there a subject that you really want to tell? Like that's the uh, that's the subject that's closest to your heart, because you've spoken about a lot of things. There's family, which
I think
is
there's
a very
no,
important thing. In fact, the name of your company is also Family Films.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
is there anything that is very close to your heart that you would really want to
You
make
see,
into a
family
feature?
films is, so family film has two meanings in it. Uh, the name was, the name was basically has two meanings. For me, the family is the team behind the camera as well.
Mm.
The team that is making a film is just like a family for me. My team is just like a family for me, and the way we going to be the content that we are trying to produce and producing is for the larger audience. I wanted my films to be seen by everyone in the family. So I don't want to constrain myself, or concise my audience in a particular youth, or you know adults. So even if you have seen my previous films or ads, you can easily watch these with your families,
Mm.
with everyone. So that's the two perspectives in my mind that I that
But
inspired
coming
us.
back to a story that is really close to your heart, is there anything that you would want to transform into a feature, and
Uh,
what's the way forward for you?
it's not, but there's not particularly any story. But the film that I wanted to make for the first time as a feature, I think I want to inspire people. I don't want to be. I don't want to make a tragic film first as my first feature. I want to inspire people. I always got inspired with the biopics. Whenever I see any biopic, I get so inspired, the real life stories. And so maybe I think I'm going to make my first feature as a biopic or semi biopic, you know, and that's also our theme of web series as well. It's kind
So
of a
my last question to both you guys, to Ali and Amar, uh, favorite filmmaker, favorite film, and film that has inspired you to keep carrying on as an independent filmmaker. So I'll start with you, Ali, and then we can go to Amar.
okay. My favorite filmmaker is Inaritu. In recent years, he inspired me a lot. But my favorite film is Pursuit of Happiness.
Any reason for that?
I think maybe that's the film that I also wanted to make, and I will make, inshallah, in future. So I think the story is somehow, I can relate. The story is very relatable to me. I think for a real life character, I think it's a perfect way to portray such story. It was a brilliantly made film that it moves you. It moves you really hard.
And you, Amar?
Tito Montiel is a screenwriter and a film director, US based film director. He made a film in 2006 based on his own book, A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. That is my all time favorite film. The film is based on his own life, and uh, he basically inspired me to pursue a career in filmmaking because that film covers his life very well. Uh, he explained really, really well in that movie that if a goon like him can be a novelist and a screenwriter, then there's no excuse for, you know, learned people to not pursue something that they want to pursue. So that film is very close to my heart, and whenever I feel down, I, take out that DVD and watch that film again. It inspires me to,
Hmm.
keep on making efforts and keep on going.
Okay, well, it's been great chatting with both Ali and Amar. Thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to me and talk to Gandhara Independent Film Festival. I wish both of you good luck for the web series and the feature film
Thank you.
that you guys will eventually make. Just one of the many, I hope, because you are a quality storyteller, Ali. I've been
Oh,
watching your stuff for a few years now. We've
really.
actually even spoke before.
Yes.
And yeah, best of
And I
luck to
also
both of
wanted to
you.
work with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
It's
it's funny that things didn't work out, but that doesn't mean that it won't work out in the future.
maybe inshallah in future,
So
yeah.
hopefully we can meet up and drink a cup of tea together and talk stories and movies, because I know we both enjoy that immensely.
Yes, yes,
But
definitely.
till then, keep on doing the good work you guys are doing, and good
Thanks.
luck with all of that.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Take
much.
care. Bye bye.
You
Stay
too.
safe. Stay safe. Thank you.
You too. Bye bye. So, guys, that was Ali Sohail Jaura and Amar Zafar. They have they're a duo, filmmaking duo. Amar is a writer. Ali Sohail Jaura is an independent filmmaker, director, telling quality, amazing stories from Pakistan. It's inspirational to listen to them, and how they've struggled, but they keep going forward, and good things are happening for them. And I wish them the best of luck. Gandhara Independent Film Festival wishes them the best of luck. So keep trying, keep telling your stories, and please tune in uh, again, so that you can listen to amazing, inspiring stories uh, from filmmakers from around the world, and other people related to film. So this is Vivian Davis signing out again. Thank you. Bye bye.